Well, I do have to say that we got a few complaints with your mom last week. Well, she was here a few weeks ago.
Oh,
Miss Kessler.
Really?
Well, she said,
yes.
we're all Irish here, but she said, after we determined that she was the one that threw Patty Duke's homework in the East River, she said that Patty Duke's father had the Irish curse, which was drinking, and some people are like, no. You can't talk about Irish people like that. And they pointed out that we all know the Irish curse is actually leprechaun STDs.
It's the Seti Bimco Show with your hosts, Tim and John. The Pope prays for Tim and John every week. Oh wait, did I say the Pope? I meant nobody.
This is the Seti Bimco Show, the show where we talk about the tragedies of high school in real life and in movies of questionable quality.
Quality taste.
And I picked a movie this week called The People. And last time I talked about how, a lot of these TV movies were just there to sell something, and it's just a catalyst for John and I to talk. This movie was actually written by a woman who was a sci-fi writer, and this was like her, I don't know if you read this, her name is Zena Charlson Henderson. And she wrote a lot of science fiction and fantasy. She won some awards, which was hard to be a female science fiction writer back when she wrote these, which was kind of the 50s and 60s.
Well, not only was she a female, science fiction writer, I believe she was also African American, wasn't she?
I did not look up what she looked like. I just read her little biography here. But before we get to the movie,
maybe I'm incorrect.
Did you have any thoughts? John's thoughts?
Well, I did have a thought because today is Wednesday, June 8th. I think our listeners are aware that we record these in advance. Yeah. And last night, and this kind of goes back to our episode with acclaimed director, producer, actor, writer, and friend of the show, Adam Pittman.
Okay.
He mentioned his next door neighbor in Whitefish, Montana is Ryan Zinke, right, the former congressman from Montana and Secretary of the Interior under President Trump.
Yes.
Lives next door to Ryan, or he lives next door to, not Ryan. Ryan lives next door to Adam.
It's Adam.
In Whitefish. And now Montana has 2 congressional districts as of the last census. So he is running in this newly created 2nd congressional district. And let me see here. I've got the election results now. I don't know how current these are. I have refreshed them.
Well, people listening
the race is still too close to call. But we do have Ryan Zinke with 41% of the vote, 33,203 votes. His nearest opponent is Doc Olszewski with 32,023. So there's just a little over 1,000 votes separating the two. And then apparently in third place with 10% of the vote, I guess she's out of it, is Mary Todd, of course, the widow of President Abraham Lincoln, who passed away in 1872. But the interesting thing about Ryan Zinke is
I thought she'd just be one of those dead people who's voting, not actually running.
Well, there you go. See, it's always with the Republican side.
It's all fake.
This election fraud happens, like North Carolina 9 with the.
Bet you Mary Todd Lincoln voted twice.
I'll bet you she did. I'll bet you she voted once in Illinois and once in Montana.
Right.
And, anyway. So, no, but, just a couple things about Ryan Zinke. He was under a lot of scrutiny during his time as Secretary of the Interior. There were 2 Native American tribes who were set to open up these new casinos in Connecticut. He came in and awarded the contracts to 2 casino conglomerates who, surprise, surprise, had donated very heavily to his election campaigns when he was in Congress. So there's a big brouhaha about that. Apparently, he spent $139,000 on a set of doors for his office at the Department of the Interior.
I think I remember that.
Although I was corrected by one of my conservative friends. It was actually 3 sets of doors for $139,000. Okay. So I do stand corrected on that. Well, there you go. That's a value for your taxpayer dollar right there.
Right.
But apparently also, he's a lot of other controversy that did not make the news.
I know.
Ryan Zinke is infamous for disregarding the no shoes, no shirt, no service rule.
Well, yeah, those restaurants,
convenience stores.
Oh, convenience stores.
So if you don't want to spend tens of, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars on therapy, you do not want your children seeing Ryan Zinke without shirt and shoes going into a 7-Eleven.
He's an American.
And also, I'm noticing
you walk into a store without your shirt and shoes.
He's American. It's his constitutional right to go barefoot. It's in the Constitution.
It is. Was he doing that?
Are
you telling me that?
I've learned. I don't know. I mean, this is rumor. This is innuendo. Allegedly, I should have prefaced it with allegedly. Tim. Also to cover our butts legally.
Fake news.
Fake news. There you go. I do see where though he lives in. He splits his time in Washington, D.C., Whitefish, Montana, and Santa Barbara, California, which is his wife's hometown. Politico reported that Zinke no longer resides at his Whitefish house and spends more time in Santa Barbara. So, why would you keep that house in Whitefish? Maybe if you wanted to run for Congress from Montana again. Yeah. He does have 2 sons, Wolfgang and Konrad with a K. So yeah. I wonder if he was the troop leader of their Boy Scout. Oh, wait, they weren't in the Boy Scouts. They were in the, what's that other organization for young men that I'm thinking of, Tim?
Does it start with a K? And then another K? And then a third K?
No, the Hitler Youth. The Hitler Youth. That's what I'm thinking of. The Hitler Youth.
I shouldn't say that.
I mean, with names like Konrad and Wolfgang.
Yes.
I think it was the Hitler Youth.
I was totally off. Yeah.
Anyway, maybe we get Adam Pittman, acclaimed producer, director, writer, and actor, and friend of the show, to come back onto the program and verify or
I want him back.
Rebuke that news.
After his next project. We'll give him time. Let me say that by the time this airs, because you are sorry, I'm not segueing very well, but I'm doing something. I'm doing something called non-sequentering.
Okay,
this thought's been stuck in my head since you said that we record ahead. But by the time this airs, if you remember, July 8th, John Hinckley will be having his show. Remember I told you about this in Brooklyn? You wish you could be.
Yes, it's been on my mind. I'm like, how do I get down there? How do I get tickets? Is it sold out? Do you have tickets?
Yes. No, I don't. I did. I made that joke.
You don't? Is it sold out?
I haven't looked at it since we talked about it before. I'm just thinking about Charles Manson, who, that's all he ever wanted. He's probably rolling over his grave, Remember he hung out with the Beach Boys. He recorded songs. I think you can still look up some of his songs. And
I can't remember the name of the song now. The Beach Boys did record it, but he didn't get credit for it.
Nope. He would have been
and I want to say,
I think he would have been a good performer if he hadn't carved that swastika in his head,
or
it's all marketing.
Maybe that would have worked for him. Who knows?
No, if he carved
Wolfgangs and Konrads and the Hitler Youth, we probably would have bought those records.
He needed to carve a peace sign in his head. Then people would be like, "Oh, that's nice."
Right.
But then he'd bring out the harmonica, and then people started running. Anyway.
Yeah. I see where Patricia Kronwinkle, who was at both Sharon Tate's house and the LaBianca's house the next night, is up for parole. And the parole has been approved. Now it just has to be signed by the governor.
Really?
And when Leslie Van Houten, maybe a year or two ago, got approved for parole, she got denied, but the governor said, nope, not going to do it. And the thing about the Manson...
Oh, go ahead.
Van Houten, Leslie Van Houten.
But she's the one who didn't kill anyone, right?
Well, allegedly, she stabbed Rosemary LaBianca 14 times after she was dead.
Okay.
And there were some post-mortem stab. What a dainty little flower. She at least waited to stab the woman 14 times after she did. What a dainty little flower.
Yes.
But yeah, now I have a friend, and it actually kind of makes sense because, Abigail Folger, the coffee heiress, was one of the people killed at Sharon Tate's house.
Right.
And his claim is, as long as they're roasting Folgers coffee, they'll never get out.
Right.
So, anyway.
I thought one of them was like, I didn't kill anybody. I forget. And she's friends with...
it was Leslie Van Houten, and John Waters came.
Yes.
John Waters has been a big supporter of her. And, it's like, I'm sorry. I mean, like, I did a lot of drugs when I was 18, 19, 20 years old. I did a lot of drugs.
Okay.
Not once
you didn't kill anybody.
did I think of stabbing somebody 26 times.
Well, nobody told you to, so, I mean.
Well, I think... I'm sorry, I don't care how high I got. I think I'd be like, no, dude, no. Count me out. No, I don't care.
Yeah. No matter how many times I said it, you wouldn't do it. I remember.
Yeah. I can, I'm one to say never, but because you never know what you're going to do in a situation.
I know.
So, but I think I can say with 99% certainty.
Yes.
Oh, God, I hope we don't get like a lot of pro-Manson family email now. This will suck. You are unfair. You do not know what you would do in that situation. If you feared for your life, blah, blah, blah. Pro-Manson emails, we don't need them.
We don't
Please
need them.
don't send them in. Thank you.
Please, George, don't email us about your pro-Manson views.
George. You mean New York Times bestselling author George O'Connor would be sending us pro? He probably will. He'll give me something about, Patricia Krenwinkel's the one who's up for parole now. He'll give me she had some sob story, She didn't get elected homecoming queen or something. No. So she was totally justified in murdering those people.
Well, anyway. And did you see that movie?
Anyway.
Did you see Once Upon a Time in Hollywood?
I did.
Okay.
Because I knew some people who were extras in it.
Okay. You still hooked up with these extras?
They're telling... I still keep in touch, just kind of a casual, like, hey, how you doing? Once in a while, I'll get a text from them, maybe once every 6 to 8 months. And apparently they were talking about that. They are aware there's like an alternate ending out there. They were telling me like, oh, this is how it ends. And it was not how it ended.
Uh-oh. Can you tell me, or is that betraying their trust?
Well, I'll have to see if I'll have to get, I'm trying to remember because... It was almost like, remember there was one, and
did it end with Charlie getting out the guitar and playing some music and the harmonica?
No, it ended allegedly. Maybe, I don't know. I'll have to re-verify it, but I was told that one of the things that's like, if you ever read Helter Skelter, that Sharon Tate said, "Don't kill me now, let me have my baby." Mm-hmm. And apparently that was the ending. Like they took her to Spawn Ranch and she had the baby. But then again, I don't know how accurate that is. So don't quote me on that. But that was
you've been quoted.
The alleged inside information I had. But who knows if that was second, third, fourth. Because it doesn't seem to me as though there would be any extras in that scene.
Well, the ending? No.
They were at Spawn Ranch. Maybe if they were no, not the ending that they showed, but maybe they would have been extras out at Spawn Ranch. I don't know. It doesn't seem to me as though they were. I'm going to, you know what? I'm going to say no. I'm going to say no. I think my friends are bullshitting me. That's what I think. So.
All right.
If Quentin Tarantino is listening, or Margot Robbie, or Brad Pitt, or Leonardo DiCaprio, they're big fans of the show. Any one of those four.
I think the alternate ending...
Please let us know if there was an alternate ending.
I think the alternate ending was Charlie was sketching a peace sign and a swastika, and he's like, I think I'll carve this peace sign in my head. And they're like, And then
the knife slip. And then the knife slip, he's like, oh, I've got to make it a swastika.
Yeah, that's why it happened. It's not like he wanted it.
It's like I wanted it to be a peace sign, and I went down too far on my forehead, so now I'm just going to have to make it into a swastika.
He was in the car. Someone else was driving, and they hit a bump.
Yeah, and he hit a bump. And
Should we get to this
Should we get on movie? And talk about this movie now? Yeah.
And I don't mean to say terrible. Talk. I mean, it was based on this nice sci-fi story, movie. But I have to say it was so... Were you just saying it was so boring? Just like...
Yeah. No, it was just boring and kind of slow.
Super slow. But did you see who produced it? Sorry.
Francis Ford Coppola.
And his father did the music.
About 2 months.
Oh, sorry.
Yes. His father, Carmine Coppola.
Mm-hmm.
They are one of the, I believe it's the Coppolas and the Houstons, who are the only two families of 3-generation Academy Award winners.
Okay. I didn't know that.
There was Carmine Coppola for the music for Godfather Part 2.
Uh-huh.
Francis Ford Coppola for Godfather Part 2, Godfather. Did he win for The Conversation writing that? Maybe not. Maybe he just got nominated. Then, of course, in the 3rd generation, it was Nick Cage and Sofia Coppola. They both won Oscars. And who else? Oh, Francis Ford Coppola's sister did get nominated for playing Connie in Godfather Part 2, and then went on to get nominated for playing Adrian in the original Rocky. Yo, Adrian! Yes. It's Francis Ford Coppola's sister, Jason Schwartzman's mother.
Wait, too much information, John. You're just hitting me with it.
Too much information. I know. You didn't do a gummy before this, did you? Am I like blowing your mind? Are you going to shush me again? Are you going to shush me again?
We can't talk about that.
We can't talk about that. We'll just. It's legal. It's legal.
It's legal. It is legal.
No, I'm guessing that. Well, this came out right before. I mean, literally right before, like maybe 2.5 months before The Godfather came out in 1972. It was an ABC movie of the week from what I saw.
1970, yeah.
And maybe he just, because, The Godfather is my favorite movie by far of all time.
Okay.
That is my absolute favorite movie. I have seen The Godfather, I don't know, at least 100 times.
Okay.
Probably more. Of course, ever since they shot up the store for the company I worked in El Paso, Texas, that we shall not mention the name of the company, I do have to watch an actor shooter video so often. I've seen that actor shooter video more often than I've seen The Godfather now. That kind of puts that into perspective. Yeah, that's what I said to my manager the other day. I said, if I see this one more time, The Godfather is but if you've ever heard the history of The Godfather.
Well, we are watching The Offer, however true or untrue that is. We're watching The Offer. You know about this show? It's on a streaming service. I won't give mention to advertise.
Right, I have seen that, and apparently, like the movie, like the Coppola basically told the studio, "No, I'm not doing any of this." They wanted Laurence Olivier for Vito Corleone.
They went through all that.
The Brando part.
Basically,
that would have been a terrible casting choice. Basically, they wanted Robert Redford as Michael.
Yes. Because I'm not going to go over the whole plot, but every episode of the show is basically the producer. He's like, "Oh no, we got a problem. They're going to shut us down." And that's every episode. And then
So maybe
next week he goes, "It's all over. They're going to shut us down. We got to figure this out."
Anyway,
produced by Francis Ford Coppola. This movie's called The People, and I should give a little synopsis. Teacher Melody, last name I forget. Melody goes out to
Amerson.
Melody Amerson. Teacher Melody Amerson starts a new job at a school out in the kind of wilderness. It's the California countryside. Looks like Little House on the Prairie, basically, where they filmed this. Mm-hmm. And these are some seclusive people that seem like they are Amish, and the kids are very strange. How's that? I didn't write a synopsis. I wrote all this other stuff about this movie.
Well, that kind of is the synopsis there. There we go. That's the movie. Okay, Tim.
Terrible synopsis.
I'll see you next week.
Terrible.
We'll talk about what are we going to talk about next week. Do we have a guest next week? Tim, this is a great movie. I'll talk to you next week. Bye-bye. No, it was just very... Although...
it's not starring, but William Shatner's in it. It's starring Kim Darby. And William Shatner and Kim Darby also appeared in an original Star Trek episode called Mari. When she was
which I don't recall.
It was the one where the planet was all children because when you hit puberty, you died and got this disease. And she was one of the young girls.
I do remember. Okay, I do remember that. So, I do remember. Was Michael J. Pollard in that?
I don't remember the other stuff.
I don't know.
It was all kids.
Anyway, well, Michael J. Pollard he was like Michael J. Fox. He could always play younger. But he was in Bonnie and Clyde. And Kim Darby was in the original True Grit with John Wayne.
Oh, okay. I'd forgotten her. I saw her face in various places. She was in a lot of different things.
Yeah, so she did a lot of TV in the 70s.
She takes a bus out, and I will say they did a good job setting up the story. It's cheesy, but she's thinking about leaving her boyfriend. She left her boyfriend to do this, and but she is remembering that they seem to have this thing about the harmonica. She's like, "Do you want your harmonica back?" And he's like, "No, you keep the harmonica." So I knew this harmonica was going to come into the plot. I'm like, why are you guys talking about this harmonica? Who wants a harmonica? You're breaking up with their boyfriend.
Is that how you won Jean over in the end, Tim? Did you give her a harmonica? I didn't get that. It's like, why would you give a woman a harmonica? But
well, he was so annoyed. He's just like, yeah, you keep the harmonica. It's full of my spit. So so they go out to this town.
My spit will always be with you. Mm-hmm. Well, town is kind of a stretch.
Right,
Tim.
a house. But yeah, that's right. There's one house and there's all these kids. I never thought of that.
Yeah, it's like, well, the bus stop was like
a dirt road, yeah, nowhere.
The bus stop. I mean, it was just like a field, you know. It's like, are you sure this is where I'm saying? It's like,
sorry.
Are they coming? Are they going to? This would be a great episode if like the SWAT team comes in and like battering ram down your door.
Ratings
that would be awesome.
Through the roof.
Case of mistaken identity.
So yeah, I just realized that one schoolhouse, one house. What were there? 13 children. I guess they all lived in that one. No, she never saw them in that house. Where did those kids live? Did you
I think they just had farms. I think it was just like a series of farms.
They were always in the woods. I think they slept in trees.
I don't know. There must not have been a big budget for this.
Oh, no budget at all. One house and the woods. So she goes to this house where it is like an Amish family. There's an old lady. There's the father, creepy father. Nobody smiles. Well, the woman who picked her up, she kind of smiles. The girl who picks her up, she smiles, but no one else smiles. And she goes to her room. And the one thing, this confused me. I don't know if this confused you. She calls downstairs because she can't find her magazine. She brought a magazine, nothing else to read, I guess. She brought a magazine. She's a teacher. Mm-hmm. And they're like, nope, we can't find it. And then you see it in the fire. And could you see what the title was?
It looked like Vogue.
That's what I thought.
But it was Vogue something. Like, I don't know, like a version of Vogue or an edition of Vogue. I don't know.
Well, nowhere in this movie do they explain why they cared if she had a magazine. I mean, unless it was People magazine, then I agree with her. Just burn it. That crossword.
Yes.
Doesn't do your mind any good.
Or Rolling Stone today.
But well, back then it was 1972. Might have been okay. Rolling Stone today.
Would have been fine. That's what I said. I said Rolling Stone today.
I think it was.
I think that was maybe just something to throw the viewer off.
I know.
They were just like these very religious people. Because I did notice when she came off the bus with the magazine in her hand, there was like a woman in, I don't know if it was a bra or a bikini top.
Yes,
so
I remember now.
Risque,
yeah, I get it.
When she gets off the bus. So maybe that was just to kind of throw the viewer off.
No, it was a nude woman. I get it.
These are just religious nuts or something. I don't know.
This movie was so slow. I nodded off a few times. I missed that. I thought maybe it was a TV guy.
Luckily, it was only
no TVs here.
We don't need this. We don't need this. Luckily, it was only an hour and 10 minutes.
Yes. This TV guide has Maud Finley on the cover. Put that right in the fire.
There must have been a lot of commercials. I'm guessing they lost a lot because this is only an hour and 2 minutes. So to get it to stretch out to 2 hours, there would have been a lot of commercials.
Right.
I think they lost a lot. I think a lot of people in the audience were just like, "Oh, screw this! This is too slow." And there are too many exactly like you did. Like they nodded off. Yeah.
So they go to school and meet the new teacher, who's Kim Darby, and she meets the kid. Is his name Francher or Frencher?
Frencher. I can make. At first, I thought it was Frencher, and then it sounded like they were calling him Francher.
Yeah. Anyway,
I'm gonna go with Frencher. That's what I went with first, and that's what I'm sticking with.
And she asked what I'm supposed to do, and he's like, "You do whatever you want. You teach however you want." And they bring her some dead leaves for her first day of school. I don't know if you noticed that.
Yes, Diane Varsi.
Okay,
who was in the original film version of Peyton Place with Lana Turner, got nominated for an Oscar for that. She was in it, and the girl who met her at the bus stop and drove her up back to the house, she was one of the daughters on 8 is Enough.
Oh, okay.
It drove me nuts. Don't ask me which one. But she was one of the daughters on 8 is Enough because it was just like driving me nuts. Joni. She was Joni on 8 is Enough.
You had to look that up.
I was like, where have I seen her before? And yeah, so she basically did 8 is Enough. She had like some real bit parts in a lot of movies, and she did 8 is Enough and like 4 consecutive seasons of The Love Boat in 4 different parts, things like that. Her Wikipedia bio is a retired American actress.
Ah, okay.
She lives out in Ojai now, out in Ventura County. But anyway,
jeez, are you her stalker?
Do you know the definition of a stalker? It's when 2 people go for a walk, but only one person knows about it. That's the official definition of a stalker. I don't think I can take claim for that. I may have heard that somewhere. So, but I don't know who to give credit to.
So what'd you think of her teaching abilities?
Well, they weren't learning reading, writing, and arithmetic now, were they? There was a very kind
That's
of.
What I was.
It was almost kind of like she was a. It was almost kind of like she was a Montessori teacher.
That's what I was thinking. Like, what animal do you want to be?
What animal do you want to be? Let's play music. My brother Kevin, you know my brother Kevin. Yeah. He went to a Montessori school for 2 years in Saugerties. I'm like, this isn't fair.
What animal did he want to be?
I don't know. I knew he could count. He could count to 10 in French.
She wanted them to sing. They wouldn't sing.
Right.
I think they would have sang some Led Zeppelin, but anyway.
Exactly. Led Zeppelin 4, maybe. Yeah.
They won't do anything. I never saw her teach them anything anyway. She would spy on them. You notice every time they're in the woods, she's spying on them. Did you find that odd? She's just the teacher.
Well, she's curious. She's trying to figure out. I think I might kind of be that way too. Like, kind of like, what the hell's going on here?
Yeah.
Like, these kids aren't telling me anything. The parents are just like, well, you do whatever you want to do. It's state law. They got to go to school.
Right.
So just, do whatever,
That was the one part of the plot. Like, they were so isolated. Would anyone have noticed if they homeschooled them?
Yeah, I don't know. Was there centralized testing?
That was the only weak part of this. Well, this boring plot that had no conflict. a little conflict, but
exactly. Like, I wanted to see anyway, I don't want to give away too much too early, but
you wanted to see the stereotypical. The government finds out, and they want.
I want to see the end of Carrie.
Right,
like
right.
Kids turn on the teacher, or something like that. Like, she would have to run for her life or something,
Yes, that would have been good.
That would have been awesome.
Put them in the cornfield like that episode of Twilight Zone.
Yes, there you go. Yes.
You're really into that. Shatner's in this movie. Shatner's a vet. Is Shatner a vet in this movie?
Yes.
Okay.
He is a vet, but apparently, obviously they're not going to the doc. Yeah.
Because at one point he's like, I should move out here and be a full-time vet. And I'm like, well, aren't you a vet? Or are you seem to be out to check on the doctors, the animals and the people. So I wasn't sure. Maybe
he was a doctor.
So I think Shatner showed up for 1 week. He was in it very little. Like, he was in so many movies on TV in the 70s, Kingdom of the Spiders, Terror at 10,000 Feet, the other movie we watched, this movie. I'm sure I'm leaving some out.
Actually, probably the whole thing was shot in a week. He probably showed up for a day, 2, maybe tops.
He met Mrs. Darby and kind of pretended to be interested in her. It's like, I'm bored. I'm bored being in this movie. I was going to hit on her, but
yeah.
So what do you think of Shatner's acting in here? He said he didn't have time to ham it up at all, I don't think.
No, he really didn't. He was getting ready. He was like, oh, can I get another take so we can ham it up? He's like, no, that's it, Bill.
I was very disappointed.
1 take. We only got you for a day and a half. No time for a second take.
I was just fascinated
because I don't know. You got to go. Yep. You got to go voice Star Trek the animated series or something.
So the kids won't sing. The kids won't dance. The kids won't even. They shuffle their feet. By the way,
pick up their feet.
Yes, they can't pick up their feet.
Did you just say that? Did I just talk over you? Were you?
It
just
doesn't
saying
matter.
That?
I'll edit me out. I'll just take me out of here.
No.
And I do that often, John. You don't realize.
Edit me.
I shushed you. I shushed you last episode, and I took it out.
I didn't even know you shushing me. See, that's how used I have been. As I said, I have been shushed all my life. I don't even notice it anymore.
Everyone had a hat in this movie. Everyone except Kim Darby. If Kim had worn a hat, I think they would have accepted her better. But
yeah, and maybe if she kind of lengthened those skirts a little. Those skirts were like mid-thigh.
Yeah.
They were very,
Oh, and the harmonica. It comes into this. She gives the harmonica to Frencher because he's special. She's already picking out her favorite student. It's good teaching. Mm-hmm. Make the other students jealous.
Hopefully this isn't going to be like a Pamela Smart seducing the male student.
Well, like I said,
that was the
you felt that
was
too?
The planned sequel, but that was the planned sequel, but they never made it because apparently nobody could stay awake for the first movie on that Friday night ABC movie. So
did you find the night?
Just forget.
So she's like, "Here's this harmonica."
It was the ABC.
It was Friday.
It was the ABC Friday night movie. It was January something.
You and your facts.
Anyway, continue. Just continue. It's not really.
She gives Frencher.
Stop throwing facts.
She gives Frencher the harmonica full of her boyfriend's spit. It's like, here, you're special. She's telling him that the people who are different, they're what make the world go around, and composing music is wonderful. And that's when my wife, she walked by in the background while I was watching this. And she said, "Are you watching a children's movie?" And I'm like, well, now that you say that, it's like an after-school special.
Now that you mention it.
Again, she sneaks up on them in the woods. She's always spying on them, and she finally sees them fly around. Because they keep talking about how they're not supposed to not remember. They just say, don't remember. They're home, I guess. And what you're going to say?
What do they call that? Lifting. Was it lifting? Is that what they called it? They were lifting?
Yeah, they didn't work too hard on what they called it. Let's say lifting.
We'll say lifting. I want to say that was the
levitating, flying.
Yeah, whatever they were doing. But yeah, it was just like, and then she finally, that was towards the end.
So
am I really giving anything away?
No, the father.
She realizes that they're dragging. She realizes they're dragging their feet, so they don't start lifting. And I was like, honey, I figured that out a half hour ago. Even like the revelations of this movie, the viewer had figured out.
Well, she's
a half hour, 45 minutes earlier.
She's a teacher, not a detective, John. Very bad teacher.
I guess so.
Very bad teacher. But the father sees her watching, and he also shines a light on her face and makes her float around. Mm-hmm. And she runs away screaming and thinks she was hypnotized. I guess. I fell asleep a little bit. And when I woke up,
he does at that point.
They were doing this. This is all Mary Poppins. They floated around.
So did you?
And then they made instruments play.
So did you sleep through? Did you sleep through when the California State Troopers came through and there was the shootout?
Yeah.
Did you sleep through that part? Oh man, that was a great scene.
Did they use their telepathic powers to make the bullets fly back?
They thwarted. Yes, they sent the California State Troopers running from the farm. They did. It was a wonder. Oh man, I'm sorry you slept through that.
I am too. Did any cows die?
No cows died, but the cows were used as this defense system.
And they didn't die. Okay.
And they didn't die. The little girl felt their pain and was flip-flopping on the ground, and then they came in and they were sorting her. She was sorted, and then the cows were fine.
I left that out, John. They can feel each other's pain. So if a tractor falls on their I guess sibling, I don't know if these are kids all have the same mother. There seemed to be only one father, a mother, and a grandmother. And I didn't even think of that while I was watching this movie. That we know what they are.
No, they're from
outer space, and they're orphans. But didn't the teacher say so? You two had 12 children?
Yeah. Yeah, it was and that kind of wasn't clear. Like they're saying that They call the home planet the home.
Yeah.
They're always talking about the home, and
humans can't pronounce the name of that planet. Did you fall asleep at that part? If a human pronounces
awake through
the name of their planet, their head will explode.
It was not even my movie, and I managed to stay awake through the entire hour and 10 minutes. I know how difficult that would be for you, Tim, to stay awake for an hour and 10 minutes, especially when you picked the film.
I did.
But no, I did not fall asleep during it, Tim.
So again, like Mary Poppins, they start making instruments play and float around the room. They're tied to strings. Kazoo, it's bad enough he plays the harmonica, and he's like, how about the kazoo, please?
And then all these kazoos start coming out. And a tambourine.
And they're all floating. He's floating upside down. And the townspeople show up for, I guess, because they're mad he's flying. And they distract him, and he falls on his head. Not really that fast or that hard, but apparently he breaks his neck. He's losing spinal fluid. And something else happened. It was like, how
William Shatner, the vet, determined that. That must have been some veterinary school to figure that out with not even like any no x-rays. Well, that was incredible.
He came out of
that was fantastic. I wonder what.
Yeah, they called him, and he examined him, and said all that. And he came out, and he says, we can't move him. We can't get him to the hospital. So next time we're in the schoolhouse, you notice they put him on a table. They dragged him across the floor, put him on a table. Shatner's got surgical gear and scalpels and operates on this kid whose neck is broken, spinal cord is ruptured.
With guidance from the little girl who's holding his hand.
Okay, yes, I'll give you that. I'm trying. Yeah. I'm being hard on this movie, but they are aliens and they can communicate telepathically. But but Shatner was asking her, "What do I do now?" That's what I don't believe. They might as well have said she could send telepathic messages to his head. I mean, come on with this sci-fi.
Come on is right. No, the novella was called Pottage, Pottage, Potage. Mm-hmm. By Zena Henderson.
Yeah, she wrote several of them, and many people speculate they were hoping this would be a series.
Yeah.
Well, only if the government.
Can you imagine?
Only if the government was chasing them. Come on, they need some conflict. They needed
unless they had gone through with the idea of those militant cows. Right. Then they might have had a series. But no, there's no way that people would have tuned into this series every week. No way. No, the story was told.
So they
very slowly.
Shatner and Darby know their secret, and they're like, "Well, let's keep the secret." And the people are like, "Okay, the end."
The end. Yeah. Oh, there you go. And they all.
I left out art class. She gave them crayons and said, "Draw a children's book about your home." And first, I'm like, children can't do children's books. That's an adult job, like I do.
Right.
And secondly,
that's an adult job, like I do.
Secondly, I wrote his name down. Where is it? A famous artist did this art because the kids they draw this amazing artwork with crayons. Like,
Arthur Okamura.
Yes,
Okamura.
Mm-hmm. He drew these wonderful paintings and. Again, I guess they're aliens, so they're perfect at everything.
Well, there is a little connection between Okamura, who has a child, I was going to say of course, but unfortunately was put in a relocation camp.
Oh, this artist?
I'm using air quote. As being a Japanese American. Mm-hmm. And the original author, Zena Clarkson Henderson, was a teacher.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I read all this.
At a Japanese internment camp during World War II.
I didn't do my homework. I did a lot of homework, but this movie put me to sleep so many times.
In an hour and 10 minutes.
So, yeah, that's why people think maybe this was going to be a show. But you know what? There was too much harmonica in this, John. And
I never thought I'd say that. Too much harmonica.
Do you like the harmonica? Have I been insulting you?
I do like the harmonica, but no, you were right. There is too much harmonica in there.
So
maybe they played more than 5 notes. I'm just saying, you know what I mean? It was just like the same 5 notes over and over.
But we had William Shatner and Darby, Both from Star Trek.
Diane?
Both from Star Trek. And we got harmonicas. So guess what I did this week?
Gosh,
what do Klingons and harmonicas have in common? And thankfully, I only ever have 4 of these. So, all right. So the first, number 1, things that Klingons and harmonicas have in common, they both have a lot of spit in them.
Ah. Klingons have a lot of spit. I did not realize that. So you're saying Klingons have overactive salivary glands. I did not know that.
You're overthinking this joke. I should have left this joke for last.
Oh, okay. Never mind.
So number 2. Klingons killed 100 colonists on Zeta Beta 12, and harmonicas have killed at least 100 people at Hootie and the Blowfish concert. John is... All right, number 3. We'll get through these.
That's what they should be having congressional hearings on, harmonicas.
Yes. Number 3, Klingons ruin music by smashing guitars with their batleths, and harmonicas also ruin music.
Just by being harmonicas.
Yes.
Okay.
And number 4, Klingons don't care what you do with their dead. They're dead because they feel that dead bodies are empty vessels and a soulless husk. And people who play harmonicas are also soulless husks. There. Got that joke out. I'm saying it twice. Are you insulted?
Maybe I'm...
I don't hate harmonicas. I'm just thinking maybe come on.
Maybe I'm Klingon. I'm thinking I'm Klingon because I kind of believe the same thing. But anyway, not about the harmonica.
The soulless husk.
The soulless husk. Yes, that's what it is. I am. It's a lot to absorb. It's a lot to absorb. Politics. I don't know and I don't know who would have farted in the elevator because they were all lifting. Maybe they all would have farted in the elevator. The teacher would have had the podcast.
Oh, here's my other notes. They got shuffled up. Arthur.
Oh, okay.
Okamura. He was the artist who did all these pictures. Here's the rest of my notes. They're all lost. This movie needs more Shatner. I remember that.
This movie needs more Shatner. Did you ever think you would say that in your life?
Sure. Let's see. Oh no, Kazoo's kid fell, his head, broke his neck, losing spinal fluid.
All right,
that magazine, I wondered the whole time. You know what I think? They were pretending to be Amish, and she brought her Mennonite magazine with her. Right, John? You're the one that told me about this.
That was it, because, the Amish and the Mennonites do. I've seen them.
That Mennonite magazine had instructions.
I've seen the shade the Amish give the Mennonites when they come into the store. I bet she doesn't even own a butter churn. We've talked about this before.
Yeah, you did it. This is a callback to your joke.
Mm-hmm.
The Mennonite magazine had instructions about how to plug in a TV.
Yes, which is useless to the Amish, so they just threw it in the fire. They're like, wait, some Mennonite high school kids were going around selling subscriptions door to door to the Amish. Like, what am I going to do with this magazine? Of course, they do have a TV guide section in Mennonite Monthly, but they only do 4 channels, all the Christian channels. That's all. That's the only TV listings they put in, just the Christian channels, TBN and
maybe PBS.
Oh, look, the 700 Club's on again.
So you didn't create a quiz of.
Well, there wasn't really a lot to go on, Tim. I'm going to be up front with you here. It's like...
Well, you could have quizzed me on the whole 3 generations of Oscar winners. I never would have known that.
Oh, well, yes. There was Angelica, John, and Walter. Those were the Houstons. And then the Coppolas. 4 people over 3 generations. Okay. And Carmine Coppola, I actually looked up his acceptance speech he won for The Godfather Part 2, which is, by the way, the film that Francis Ford Coppola won Best Director. He won Best Director for Godfather Part 2, not the original Godfather. He lost to Bob Fosse for Cabaret.
Okay.
What people always forget is that even though Godfather won Best Picture for 1972, it only won 3 Oscars. And Cabaret won 8 Oscars that night. As a matter of fact, I think Cabaret still holds the record for winning the most Oscars without winning Best Picture.
Interesting. Again, you could have quizzed me, John. You wasted that.
Well, now I'm not quizzing you. I'm just giving you fun fact. I'm just giving you fun Oscar facts.
Could have made me a fun Oscar quiz. Yeah. It's not Oscar season, I guess.
But no, Carmine Coppola gave this incredible, and I'd like to thank my son, Francis Ford Coppola, Without him, I wouldn't be here tonight. But then again, I guess if it wasn't for me, he wouldn't be here. So, and that was his speech. So I thought that was very funny.
Yes.
And Francis Ford, just look it up. Carmen Coppola Oscar. It's a very, very touching moment. Francis Ford Coppola is just tickled to death that his dad has won an Oscar, and it's just it's a really good TV moment.
Okay, I'll watch it for next week. So
it's like 2 minutes.
I'll do this
as long as you don't fall asleep in the middle of it, Tim. It is 2 hours and 45 seconds. I just hope you don't fall asleep, and I just hope you don't fall asleep during it.
There's no gunfight 30 seconds in. It's boring.
Well, they did have the cows. Well, the cows were encircling the venue because they were afraid that Sashim Littlefeather, who refused the Oscar for Brando in the original.
I know this, yeah.
For the original Godfather, they were afraid she would show up.
Afraid she'd come back.
So they just encircled the entire venue with a herd of cows. Very, very little known Oscar.
Were they dressed up in Oscar attire?
They did have assless chaps on. Because, boy, you don't want to put a cow in chaps with asses. No. It just ruined the leather. It's just not.
Well,
it's not. Or that's been my experience at least.
They put a diaper.
You don't make that mistake twice. You don't make that mistake twice.
No.
No.
You can't get.
Well, that was the people. I think we. I think. That was.
You want to know who would fart in an elevator, John? It's quiz time.
I'll call it
the BIMCO
SETI Q&A.
Brain twist.
Answering quizzes.
Theme song. Do you like quizzes, John?
I do love quizzes.
Brainstorm.
I'll call it SETI Q&A.
Brain twist. The BIMCO. I love quizzes.
Answering.
The BIMCO.
I'll call it theme song. No.
I think the boyfriend whose voice we hear, he's the one that would fart in an elevator. Couldn't you tell he was a jerk?
He would. And that's probably why she left him.
Yeah.
That was probably it. She probably left him because he farted in an elevator, and she's like, "That's it.
And
I can't take it anymore. Harmonica or not,
out of here.
You're constantly farting in elevators. I've got to leave."
He used to play the harmonica to hide it, so you wouldn't hear him.
He used to play the harmonica to hide it. Yeah, exactly. So she's like, "That's it. I can't take it. I'm leaving you, and I'm going to go teach."
There'd be a little
in the middle of nowhere.
There'd be a little. I can't do a harmonica sound. There'd just be a few notes of the harmonica. And she's like, "Are you farting?"
Are you farting again?
No, it's the dog. The dog is playing the harmonica. Okay, real quick. Who would have a podcast? That same boyfriend. Because everybody else has to keep this a secret. So that boyfriend jerk, he has a podcast about playing the harmonica and farting. It's got more listeners than ours.
Well, of course, the teacher might have a podcast.
No, it's got to be secret.
Just about her teaching style. She wouldn't have to reveal the teaching style. Music.
You got to find out what animal they want to be.
That would be her podcast. Every week she would ask, "And what kind of animal would you be?" And that would be the entire podcast every week. What
John,
kind of animal would you be?
Can we steal that idea? That's such a great idea.
Well, it's kind of my idea, isn't it, Tim? Maybe
it is. You can spin off.
What kind of animal would you?
Will you spin off and do your own little mini pod? They're like 10 minutes.
Tim, I could never do this without you.
I would want to do it, but I don't have time to do another one. I thought you do a spin off. I'm gonna. Well, never. This podcast won't fail, but I would do that. What animal are you? And what animal would you hunt? And keep going on. And if you were a cow, would you wear assless?
Would you wear chaps? Assless chaps or chaps with an ass? And think over your answer carefully.
Would you wear a diaper under there?
Would you wear a diaper?
That's a whole.
What would you do? What would you do?
Okay, which characters would spin off their own show? That again, the boyfriend. He's like the voice on Rhoda, the doorman. You never see him. Carlton. Lorenzo Music,
or L Music, I guess.
And that he had his own show as an animated show. Did you know this? I never realized that till lately. That was a spin-off of Rhoda, animated show.
Oh, Carlton, really? I did not know that. No.
It's on YouTube. I will send it to you. It's not good.
And of course, he also did the voice of Garfield.
Oh, yeah. When you hear it, you're just hearing Garfield. It was a pilot, animated pilot. How bizarre. An animated spin-off of a character.
Oh, I would like to look that up. I will look that up.
I'll send it to you.
What was he doing? Just his interactions over the intercom?
No, he had to go out and do stuff. He had to go out and be a doorman. Next time we have a guest, the last 5 minutes is our mini pod. What animal would you be?
What animal would you be?
Just give them 5 minutes. Someone's going to steal our idea, John. I think I should edit this all out.
No, they're not, because we're copywriting it right now.
What's the podcast called? What's it called?
On June 8th, 2022.
But what's the name of the podcast? It's
got to be clever. Seti Bimco, what kind of animal? Seti Bimco, what kind of animal would you be?
It's got to be snappier. I don't know. I don't know what that'd be, but
Mutual of Omaha's Wild Seti.
Maybe call it
kind of a play on Serengeti.
Call it furries.
Kind of a play on Serengeti. Kind of a play Seti, Serengeti. Kind of a play on.
I say call it furries, John.
The Wild Seti Getty. Instead of Serengeti. We'll work on it. We're just coming off of this on the top of our heads, Tim. We'll work on it.
John, we'll call it furries, though. You know what furries are? You look like you don't know what furries are.
Furries?
Sadly, a comic.
Is this a Star Trek episode?
I wish.
Oh, I don't know.
These are started at comic conventions. These are people that will dress up in a big outfit, like, say, an anime character. If it's a big rabbit, they're in this big furry rabbit suit. And they meet other people at the show who have big furry rabbit suits, and then the logical sad conclusion. I don't say sad. I don't know. Whatever people are into. The conclusion, John, is, do you know what I'm getting here? They go up to the hotel room and they keep their furry suits on, except for,
except for
the naughty bits. And that's the furry community. Again, whatever. I don't care if they're adults. But that's a problem. That you got to take your
Tim. It's okay. No, I don't have a problem with it.
No,
I'm just thinking. But what I'm thinking of is, now they had some sort of anime convention at the Civic Center in Raleigh, and I don't think it was annual. It may have been biannual, or maybe they were rotating with other locations. I'm not sure. But I would see these people in those costumes waiting to get into the Civic Center like every other year, and now I know they were going off to their hotel rooms to do the nasty without taking those costumes off. So I'm just kind of like processing that in my mind. I'm not judging. That's something seared into my brain now.
I'm not judging either. The reason I said, oh, wait, it could be bad. I'm just saying you got to take your head off and be like, yes, you're an adult who's consenting. That's all. I'm just saying. That's all. I like to say, yeah, whatever you do is fine as long as you're a consenting adult. So I just add that on there in case people think I just think anything's okay. But yeah, got to take a peek under the furry costume, make sure you know who's in there, I guess.
Or if you don't take the mask off, do you just have sexual fantasies for the rest of your life about having sex with that particular animal?
Yeah. Hey,
like Wolverines are hot, or
this is another
otters. I don't.
It's another podcast, John. We have to hire some more people.
Oh my God,
I'm just going to produce these.
We're going to be like, we're going to have more franchises than NCIS. Or Law and Order, or it's going to be like, gosh, we're going to have 20 shows on the air at one point.
We will. Mark my word.
None of them getting more than 50 listeners a week, but we're going to have. Maybe that's how we could get advertisers. We'll do it as a package, because maybe if we added up all the, like, a dozen here and 2 dozen there and 50 there, maybe be like, look, you can sponsor all of the.
You think
Seti Bimco productions.
These pantsless chaps, they want to advertise on the show? We've done nothing but say good things about them.
I don't know. I don't know the brand name here. I'll have to look that up.
For cows. Only for cows.
Pantsless chaps.
Only for.
I don't know the company that makes those. I don't think it's Wrangler, but anyway. I'll find that out for you.
I'll wrap it up now. You were trying to wrap it up 15 minutes ago. But that's the show. Actually, that's the people.
This whole conversation has been much more interesting than our conversation about the people. Which really breaks my heart, because The Godfather is my absolute favorite movie of all time.
Well, he only produced this,
Francis Ford. But still, he put his name on it.
But yeah, well,
I guess he really needed the money.
Yeah.
I guess he was going over budget for The Godfather. He must have really needed the money.
What did he do right before The Godfather, though? Direct. Do you remember?
The Conversation.
Okay.
Was it The Conversation with Gene Hackman? They came out the same year, I believe, as The Godfather. Oh. And The People, apparently.
Hey, he's working hard. Just like Shatner.
He's working hard.
Shatner was in so many 70s TV movies. But we're done. Can we get out of here?
We're done. Okay. Well, let's get out of here. Tim, it was fun.
You know what? Oh, let me just double check.
What?
Did we get an email?
Did we get an email?
I'm checking the last minute. No emails.
no pro-Manson people. Is this thing on? Is anybody listening?
No pro-Manson. Not till next week.
No pro-Manson. No. Maybe people will weigh in on the assless chaps versus the chaps with ass for cows. I'm just grasping at straws here.
All right.
Just grasping at straws.
Email us at SetiBimco with the E at Gmail. And if you like the show, please share and like it. And order some assless chaps. We'll see if they'll be an advertisement. Mm-hmm. Oh, we're Twitter at SetiBim. And what else? Instagram, SETI_BIMCO. There. Don't watch The People.
Don't watch The People. Unless you're having trouble sleeping.
Yes. I'll see you next time. I believe we have a guest. I'll talk to you then.
Or we'll talk about another movie. We'll figure that out when the time comes, right?
Yep. Bye.
Bye.
Seti Bimco is a podcast by Tim Hamilton and John Kelly. Produced by Miss Lee. Music by Tim Hamilton. This has been a Pity Party Line production.
Party line, it's a party line.